All right, I think we're live. Hi, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the fourth Algorand Assembly call of 2023. My name is Autumn Peñalosa. I am Head of Community for the Americas at the Algorand Foundation. I'm joined by Ryan Khalil as my co-host today, and we are both so delighted to be here with you all. Hope you're all having a beautiful summer, winter, wherever you are in the world. So the Assembly is essentially our global community call. We hold this call every other month as a forum to share key updates from the Algorand Foundation and to field questions from you all, our Algorand community. So please share your questions. We just ask that you keep your questions to the topics at hand, the ones listed in the agenda. And please use the Q&A tab so that we can keep things nice and organized. So with that, let's get started. We're going to jump into our presentation, and I'm excited to introduce to you two of our new team members. There we go. All right, so taking up a completely new role that we've been very excited to make happen is our Nigeria country head, Benjamin Onuahu. And Ben, can you jump up and say hello, a few words? Anuoha.
Hi. Yes, you got it. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Been in the Algorand ecosystem, but working from the outside. So I'm so excited to be on the inside. And we've kicked off doing some great stuff in Nigeria and also looking at Africa as well. So in previous life, I've worked in blockchain quite a bit, with several companies in different blockchain protocols, starting with Ethereum. I was at Consensus, working on community for Africa, did that for a long time. I've also worked with the Bitcoin, and I have been building communities in Africa around blockchain, especially developers, for a while, since 2016, 2015. So I'm so excited to be at Algorand. I believe Algorand has the potential to actually birth real world applications, especially in Africa where I'm based. Looking at all of the great things that Algorand has when you compare it side by side to these previous networks that I've mentioned, Bitcoin, Ethereum, transaction speed, the low carbon footprint, and a whole lot of other things that Algorand has going on for it. So very excited and looking forward to working with the community and growing the ecosystem in Nigeria and Africa.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Great to have you. Okay, so then next up, we have JT, our new head of all things social media.
Hey, everyone. So good to meet you all. Been seeing some of you online. I'm JT, and I started off in blockchain not too long ago, but I started my own NFT project called Guava Girls, which was kind of my first foray into the space, and previously worked at Dapper and Flow, and excited to be here in the Algorand ecosystem. I've been learning so much, and I bring a background in CPG and agency, and just really excited to see where we can take this.
Awesome. Thanks, JT. All right, screaming along here, gang. Ecosystem update. Pardon the noise background. Please say hello to Min Wei, our EVP of Ecosystem Growth.
Hi, you guys. Thanks, Autumn. Good to be here. So I will keep my update short because I know we have a ton of exciting things to talk about. If you can go to the next slide, let's see. Oh, yes, ecosystem priority. So Autumn very kindly reminded me that it's always helpful for us to kind of, reiterate and share what our priorities are. And so, it's very simple. I think none of this should be surprising to you, but I'll kind of go through it, with you. As you know, we launched AlgoKit earlier this year. It is all about lowering the barrier for developers to enter into our ecosystem. That developer experience is our #1 priority. And, John, I think, has been sharing this everywhere as well. And there's more stuff to come later this year for AlgoKit. So I think I just wanted to reiterate that, that is the first thing that we think about when we wake up, and the last thing we think about when we go to bed, the developer experience and how we make AlgoKit part of that. So, and then the other priority, as you guys probably have heard me talk about almost maybe ad nauseum, is the ecosystem support. This bear hug that we're slowly rolling out, that making sure we do everything we can to support the projects in our ecosystem, and that is going to be continuing to be a big priority for us going forward. And then the last piece that I thought I'd like to highlight is transparency. As you guys know, we launched our transparency report on a quarterly basis. Our next one is coming up very shortly. Ryan and the ventures team launched an AV transparency report, the funding report. The goal is to be transparent and, to make sure that we share all the things that are important in the ecosystem with the community. So I think those are the three sort of highlights for us as we think about, decisions, strategy, roadmap, etc. Those are top of mind for us as we move forward. Okay. Lots and lots of things have happened over the last 2 months. This is just a very, I'm going to go through some very quick highlights just to help us celebrate all the cool things that's been happening in our ecosystem. So, we kicked off our NFT collection. So Joanna, NFT Joanna, and the team and our NFT council has been working to launch that. I think we bought our first 100 NFTs for the collection. An NFT rewards measure was passed. This is very exciting because we've had DeFi reward measures, but this is the first NFT reward that got passed in the last governance period. We're super psyched about that, and the 3 marketplaces have already submitted their proposals, and we're eager. I think some of them have already even launched, so we're super excited about that. AlgoFi, one of our OG DeFi programs, DeFi projects, wound down this during these last 2 months. I think that's something that, of course, is really unfortunate for us as an ecosystem. But we do have lots of other DeFi projects that are stepping in and very very hands-on as well. So that's awesome. Speaking of other DeFi projects, Folks Finance launched xAlgo on BNB, which is super cool, and they're seeing some good traction there. So I think wanted to celebrate, that cross-chain initiative that they're looking at. Fractal Monsters, as you guys know, has been crushing it with their transactions and their in-game activations, and they launched Pepe and Coop rewards, but they started adding in-game transactions on chain, and they're seeing some really great traction as well. Hasab Pay has been seeing good growth, so we're super excited about all the stuff that's happening there in Afghanistan as well. The FIFA Collect launched the Women's World Cup. For those of you who, may be lucky enough to be watching the games in, New Zealand and Australia, the collection just launched. It's gotten really great hype, so I wanted to give a shout out there. And then speaking of launches, Goracle launched this year. What a great, I think it's a really great moment for us as an ecosystem to have our own decentralized Oracle up and running. So I think I'm super psyched about that. All right, I think this is it for me, Autumn.
You're off the hook, Min. Thank you. That was great.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Okay, so next up we have Michele Tracconi coming up to give us a governance update. Michele, stage is yours.
Thank you, Autumn. Next slide, please. Today, I would like to talk, let's say, the current status of governance and a little focus on the XGov, because it will be, let's say, the strategic actor in the present and the future governance. So what happened, let's say, in the recent past and in the present is that governance period 7, GP7, just ended with a 2.5 billion of commitment with 27,000, let's say, governors, of which let's say 5,000 XGovs committed their rewards to be segregated in a way that we will discuss later. The ongoing GP8 period sees the same, more or less, level of commitment with almost 4,000 XCOVs. The good part is that we can see a very good fidelization. There is 3,000 governors of the previous GP7 are also have also applied during the GP8. Next slide, please. So I would like just to focus on, let's say, the interaction of general governance and XCOV, because maybe it's useful to understand their interactions. So essentially, the general governance can be seen as an opportunity to jump into the XCOV program. For example, in GP7, the past period, these governors entered into a program which, let's say, freeze their rewards for an entire 1 year, and therefore they will be deferred after exactly 1 year the distribution, in exchange for the right of voting in these XGov voting sessions. Okay, due to, let's say, to the time structure of our governance, you can be a governor also in other periods for GP8, GP9, and GP10. And we can say that they are, let's say, independent ways of being XCOV, okay? Because every period you can devote your rewards on the XCOV program. What happened, let's say, at regime, let's call it. For example, let's focus on GP11. During GP11, there will be already active 4 XCOVs period. There is XCOVs cohorts that have been applied in the previous 4 periods. So when an XCOV vote will come out in GP11, all the XCOVs belonging to the 4 cohorts will be eligible to vote in this part. Okay. What could happen if, like a very good and trust XCOV commit during during all these 4 periods, his voting power will be just the sum of his rewards during these 4 periods. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a preview. It's not out anymore. I just wanted to share with you what, as an XCOV, you will see the next week, because it will open in August. And this is the voting session. Here, you will connect, as usual, to the governance with your wallet, and you will vote with the fraction, the voting power that you have gained by sending your rewards to this to the XCOV wallet. For example, let's suppose that you have 2% of the total XCOV rewards, okay, which more or less means having like 404,000 algos, okay. It means that you can put your vote on one of the current 26 projects that have proposed a project to be funded with the 2 million pot of the XCOVs. The mechanism that has been, let's say, devised by the community allows you to split better your vote among different projects. Why? Because essentially the totality of the vote can allocate 2 millions, okay? For example, project 17 asked for 20,000 algos, which is 1% of the 2 million pot. So for them, in order to be funded, they have to collect 1% of the total votes. Okay. So a suggestion on this, on the behavior. If you have, for example, 2% of the total votes, it would be, let's say, better for everyone to put 1% of the votes, of your votes, into this project, and devote the rest of your voting power to other projects in order to, let's say, not waste part of the 2 millions that will be allocated during this voting session. Just to give you an idea, we have 26 projects. It's definitely quite a lot because if you want to have a look at all the projects, you have to really scroll down. But I would say that this is, let's say, implied by the democracy. I just out of curiosity, I look at that general election in Italy, and we had 28 parties in the voting in the cabin booth. And so also here, the suggestion is to do your research in advance by looking at our GitHub Xcode projects in order to understand which are the projects that for you are relevant and interesting. Because, you know, this is a serious thing. So you have to do your research to look at the, let's say, the reputation of the proposer, and looking at, I mean, the direction, DeFi, gaming, or voting tools in this project. So up to you, but please, it's a serious thing. So study in advance in this. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the first voting session for the XGovs, but we have, let's say, big plans for the XGov figures. Therefore, we see this first voting section like a laboratory in which we can have a better understanding of the several factors that comes into, let's say, into this framework. There are the XGov engagement. Could happen that only two governors shows up at the voting session, and the vote is not, let's say, a success. We would like to see it, to have a feedback on the discussion behind the projects that have been proposed, and more importantly, about the accountability after these projects have been granted. So by receiving a feedback on this, let's say, part of the process, we can iterate on this particular current framework and improve the parts that needs an improvement. For example, the first thing is the fund allocation mechanism. We understand that can be, let's say, quite complicated, but let me say that this mechanism has been devised by the community. We were just out there with the template, and we let the community fully decide on the final, let's say, design. So we are here to listen and then iterate, but also together with the community. Fine for me. That's all, folks.
Thanks, Michele. Appreciate that. Let's see. Okay. Next up, community events. What do we have coming up? Okay. I'll take this slide. So the next event we'll have in North America, guys, will be alongside the Stanford Blockchain Conference, the end of August. And we will be partnering with our friends over at BAF, the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, to host an evening with students, researchers, VC, local ecosystem project founders, and foundation team. So if you're in town and planning to attend the event, please do look out for this event. We'll be getting the registration link up fairly soon, hopefully this week. A couple other things to look out for will be a happy hour panel and mixer alongside Masari Mainnet in New York at the end of September. And then finally, for those Drone Racing League fans out there in Miami, we'll have a booth set up at the DRL season opener. So more deets to come on all of those. And let's see, I don't have any of I'll go through the Latin America events as well. The gang down there has been super busy. So they've got a NFT workshop coming up in Rio at the end of July. Mid-August in Buenos Aires, several members of our Latam-based team are cross-pollinating to create a whole series of events alongside ETH Argentina. So anyone that's in the area for that, please look out for those reg links when they go up. And then our one of our marquee events, I think, for Q4 will be La BitConf in Buenos Aires, the second week in November. Have lots to store there. So, all right. Let's see, Ryan, you want to take us through the others?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with APAC. We'll be doing great stuff. For example, in Japan, we're having the WebEx Asia on July 25 and 26, which is happening right now. CoinFest Asia in Indonesia will take place on August 24 and 25. We have in Korea the Algorand Builder Meetup, September 4 till 10, and Token 2049 in Singapore, September 13-14. And now for Europe and Middle East, we have the community event for London on July 28. And for Lebanon, we're doing the first community meetup tomorrow. And we did one in Dubai just yesterday, and they were really good. If you want to register in any of our event meetup, feel free to join the Algorand.Foundation event page, and you can register there directly.
Thanks, Ryan. Oh, and last but not least, another teaser. I'm sure most everyone saw across our socials last week, but we will be hosting Decipher in Barcelona. The next edition of Decipher will be in Barcelona sometime mid-June 2024. So look out for more details probably this fall that we'll start rolling out around that amazing event. And now over to my dear colleague, Joanna Morin, on developer programs.
Hi, guys. Hope everyone's well. So we launched our developer boot camps in December last year, and they've been going really well. So we have just kicked off a beginner and an intermediate, and the intermediate is just finishing up. You can see at the end of the month, the cohort just finished the beginner, and the intermediate starts the end of this month. What we're doing then is we are putting on 2 beginner boot camps in September, 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th, and on October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then hopefully to funnel into the intermediate 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. One of the reasons why we kind of double down on these boot camps is that we are in the process of getting a global virtual hackathon off the ground. So by the way, if you want to scan that QR code, you'll get all the details with all the links to sign up for the boot camps. It'd be great to see. It's for current community members, and we've got really good engagement from newbies coming into the ecosystem as well, which was great to see. Autumn, do you want to go to the next slide, please? So the reason why we kicked it off was, as I said, for the Global Virtual Hackathon. You'll start to hear a little bit more about that over the coming weeks. I can tell you that we are going with a track approach. So currently tracks that consist of gaming, music, interoperability, consumer impact, and DeFi. So there'll be all of those tracks with placings for each of those tracks, first, second, and third. And that will run up into a virtual demo day. So probably how we'll work it is, probably only the people who place first will get to participate in a global virtual demo day, which will happen sometime in December. So it'll kick off. We'll launch it in September. The hacking will take place over October and November, and then finishing up in December. So stay tuned, guys. We're really excited. I'm really excited to land the name with you. Can't just yet, but it's gonna be great. I'm very excited. Thank you all.
Thanks, Joe. We're all excited about that one. Let's see. Okay. Very excited to jump into we have 2 project spotlights for this assembly. And kicking off the first one here, from SliceSpace, we have Maury Katan. And is Bailey joining?
I believe he's connecting now.
There we go. Maury and Bailey from SliceSpace. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I believe you guys also have our slides, right? Awesome. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Algorand community, for having us on. We're really, really happy to be here to share with you guys some of our latest updates from SliceSpace and moving forward. So we can go to the next slide. So let's paint a picture, right? Imagine a world where real estate investing is no longer a realm reserved for the few, right? Where a simplified, accessible world for anybody, right? Next slide. Instead, we're bridging the gap with SliceSpace, right? We're creating a gateway for a seamless, compliant fusion of technology and finance designed to make the investment process attainable for anybody, right? And so really with this, we're looking to bring a world of real estate investing with no complexities, no exclusivities, and just opportunities.
We started on this project with a really simple mission. We wanted to tokenize real estate offerings on Algorand and make them accessible to the masses. As it turns out, especially here in the United States, this isn't the most straightforward or easy to implement thing. Less from a technical perspective and a lot more from a compliance and securities law perspective. We didn't really know this early on, but have learned a lot since we originally started working on this. And we're really happy to say that we're still actively working towards our original mission quite diligently. With a few deals in our pipeline and equity partners in the real estate space, we're really excited to announce that our international customers can expect some updates on our first offering in the alternative asset marketplace later this summer. As for our United States customers, we haven't forgotten about you, and our first domestic alternative asset offering is still in the pipeline for later this year. Additionally, for our customers in the United States, we're very excited to announce a new product in our lineup that will be available this August. We call it the SliceSpace Exchange. You can go to the next slide. It's the first of its kind, a United States-based equities trading platform focused exclusively on real estate assets for beginner and professional investors alike.
Yeah, so this is really hitting in line with our vision of really simplifying real estate investing, right? So along with this product, we've positioned ourselves. We're jumping. So yeah, along with this product, we've kind of positioned ourselves in the really a good place to provide a compliant way for anybody to invest in real estate and really get into the space. So along with our product and our release, we're actually releasing a whole suite of modules specifically designed to make anybody into a savvy investor, right? Regardless of the current level, you'll have a lot of different resources for individuals. Now, I know everybody's asking themselves, when can we get started? And so if we hit the next slide, we're actually looking to launch and have everything in August of 2023. We will be having our launch week as well as a whole bunch of product releases then. So if you're looking to get involved, you'll see on the next slide, you can sign up for our waitlist right away. Feel free to hit that QR code or go over to slicespace.com where you can kind of join and become a part of this exciting opportunity. And I just wanted to drop in also, if anybody has more technical related questions, we'll be also hosting a Twitter space after the call. So if anybody has any questions and wants to ask us anything directly, feel free to jump on with us. Thank you so much for this opportunity, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Maury. Thanks, Bailey. Oh, do we have a? I feel like I hear an echo.
Yeah, there's an echo, Autumn. Yeah.
Weird.
You can try now. I think it was Michael's micro.
Okay, great. I don't hear it anymore. Perfect. Problem solved. All right. Super excited about both of these spotlights. So up next, we have Vesta Equity. And here from Vesta is Michael Carpentier. So Michael, would you like to take us through your slides? Oh, Michael, I think you're on mute.
You muted me. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, everyone can hear me. Okay, thank you very much. So next slide. Next slide again. Thanks. I like to start off when we're introducing Vesta Equity with a quote like this, because it's a true fact that we treat real estate as a pathway to debt as opposed to unlocking real value. We've built out and created an ecosystem where we have homeowners on one side of the spectrum that have to deal with financial institutions and intermediaries to access the equity in their home. And on the other end of the spectrum, investors have to deal with those same financial intermediaries and others in order to be able to make investments in homes. Next slide. And the facts back this up. Americans access 4.1 trillion in expensive home loans annually. Total home debt is 11.7 trillion. And yes, I'm using trillions, not billions, because it's trillions. Interest on an average $350,000 home is $172,000 over 20 years. And the majority of wealth for most Americans, ironically, is in their homes, total of about 32.9 trillion. There's no easy and transparent access for investors to buy residential assets and build a portfolio at this point in time. We're starting to see that change with new players coming into the market, but at this point in time, it's very, very difficult. Real estate's always a less volatile investment than stocks, but it's always been subject to trade-offs like liquidity, diversification, operational risks, and time management costs. We've solved that problem. Next slide. And we solved that by providing debt-free equity access to homeowners on one end of the spectrum, and on the other end of the spectrum, we provide appreciation in yield. And how we do that is we provide an investment into that asset for the homeowners, and we have a whole bunch of additional yield features. Next slide, please. At the heart of what we do is what we refer to as the VPM, our Vesta Equity Marketplace. This is where we place all the assets. Assets are primary and secondary markets, so investors can buy directly from homeowners and also buy from other investors. The process, we've created what we refer to as a point-and-click solution. Homeowners can onboard their asset with very little complexity. They don't have to know anything about blockchain. We handle all the titling issues, all the legal issues on the back end for them to easily be able to bring on their home onto the platform. We handle KYC, AML, we handle home inspections to establish value and make sure the asset is at the quality that we expect it to be at. All the titling issues are handled on the back end, photography of the asset, and then eventually they determine how much of that asset they want to tokenize and place on the marketplace. So it's a $500,000 home, they can put $250,000, and then that $250,000 in assets become available to investors. On the other end of the spectrum, investors go through a similar process. Don't necessarily need to know much about blockchain. Again, point and click environment for them as well. And they're onboarded through a process where then they can interact and be able to buy these assets on the platform. Next slide. Well, we're asking people to join us on our journey. And in our experience, the best way to experience that journey is to actually go to our website and be able to see one of our assets. Next slide. So if you scan this, you're going to be able to experience Vesta Equity directly and be able to see one of the properties right now that is up for sale on our platform. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
And actually, yeah, Michael, if you could microphone. Thank you. Okay. We made it through in record time. And I think we will open it up to some Q&A. If any of my co-hosts / team members want to join me back on stage, let's go through. Looks like we have some questions from Maury and Bailey regarding SliceSpace.
Hey guys.
QR didn't work for me. Let's see.
Should we just pick through some of? Oh,
yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, if you could go through, see, there's a few questions in the Q&A tab. If you'd like to call out any.
Sure. So I think one of the top ones that was asked by Lewis in regards to whether we're an SEC regulated ATS. We are partnering with an ATS that is already regulated by the SEC and completely compliant. And so the answer is yes, we're completely SEC compliant. And that is the focus of what we're doing. I think one of the other big questions that I'm seeing a few places, Santosh, Mike, John, you guys all asked the question of how is this differ from Lofty? Something that is very big for you to note is this business model is more targeting the entire scope of real estate investing and focusing on a whole slew of assets and creating that marketplace. Whereas the marketplace on Lofty traditionally is focusing on single family properties, single tenant properties. They have a few larger buildings as well, but you're going in specifically for those assets. While that is an asset type on the SliceSpace platform, we offer a robust option of products, right? Everything from REITs, as well as real estate assets, as well as other assets, as well as those specific alternative assets like we mentioned. So you're getting really a whole breadth of products available to you. So that's one of the big
as an entity also is becoming registered as an RIA in the United States. So that'll kind of also allow us to provide all sorts of additional learning information, tutorials, guidance on different types of investing, and kind of this broader macro focus on real estate and different markets as a whole. And then like Maury was saying, we kind of have this, we have this exchange component and this marketplace component. The marketplace component is kind of where all of the alternative asset deals live. And then the exchange is where the publicly traded equities live.
And we can dive more into that on our later Twitter spaces if you guys are interested. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at SliceSpace, and we'd love to get into the weeds.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, and I would encourage Michael, Bailey, and Maury, make sure that you drop any links that you'd like the attending community here to check out in the chat. Social handles. I dropped the website for both teams on there, but
really appreciate that.
Let's see. Did we answer Santosha's question? Will we get to invest in CRE also for both Vesta and SliceSpace?
So we have a thumbs up from SliceSpace. You will be able to invest into commercial real estate as well as a whole slew of other types of assets, including builders, including private real estate. And I'll pass it over to Mike.
Yeah, we have it in our product roadmap. The commercial real estate, multifamily residential units will also be part of our roadmap down the road, as well as vacation properties.
And
Awesome.
just one more, I think John asked if we have a token. This is all being pegged on US dollars, so we do not have a token.
Well, so I would add as a note, where Algorand fits in, we're kind of using Algorand, settling, clearing, and custody layer for our alternative asset marketplace, as well as all sorts of on-ramping features. So it's on the back end, but it's not going to be like a traditional token that you would be able to find on maybe a decentralized exchange. Everything will be behind kind of KYC, and we're really utilizing the blockchain from an efficiency perspective. We really see it as the best way to do what we need to do from a technical perspective on the compliance side. Because as you guys know, we're kind of, it's an interesting business. When we first started working on this, we thought everything was going to be very easy. And that was just really based on the technical and kind of market aspects of things. And then when we kind of slowly peeled back the compliance, we realized more how many moving parts there are, especially in the United States, doing this legally. So.
Yeah, compliance issues is a good issue you guys brought up, because we're also compliant as well, and we think it's critical in this environment, particularly in North America, to be 100% compliant.
Totally.
Compliance is key in this space. I think the SEC just proved that to everybody, especially if you're going to compete in the US.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be
Mike, were you in the middle of saying something? Did you get?
Yeah, I think I got muted there. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a non-compliant company right now in the US. Right now in today's environment, anyone building on blockchain feels they can come up with some exotic solution not to be compliant. God love them, but I definitely feel that's a mistake. Compliance is really critical right now.
Exactly. And you don't build on blockchain, evade law. You just build on blockchain to do things more efficiently that we already know that we have to do.
Yeah, absolutely 100%.
All right. So unless anyone, Ryan, do you see any other questions we need to pertinent to our agenda that we need to address? I think we've got most.
We covered all of the questions.
Yeah.
The relevant ones. Any more
Awesome.
questions?
Yeah, I see a question. Someone says, so is Vesta Equity essentially an alternative to getting a home equity loan through a bank? Yes. So you do not have to, if you use our platform, you do not have to go to a bank. You can access the equity on from your home debt free. And what we do is we have investors invest directly in that equity.
Okay.
Santosh has a question. Is there a regional focus to your products?
There we go.
We are primarily focused on the US market right now. However, from an asset perspective, from an investor perspective, we're global. So anyone can access our platform anywhere in the world and invest in the products. We do intend to launch into other markets and provide the same service to homeowners in other markets, with Europe, South America, and then Asia being target markets for us over the next 2 years.
And for us, this is a good question. There's two thoughts. The first is the assets themselves, and the second is the investors themselves, right? So as far as the investors themselves, right now we'll be able to, like Bailey mentioned, we'll be able to onboard US investors right away. International investors, we will have that in the near future. Traditionally, most of the assets are positioned in the US. Some are international as well, but we are going to have a lot of information rolling out with the release of the product. So everybody will be really well-informed investors at that point.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Okay, I think we have most of the questions. And for our community out there, you know, if you think of something after this call, these three would love to hear from you. This is definitely the moment where, you know, looking for community engagement around these amazing product releases. So get in touch with the team if you have questions. And yeah, I think unless any of my teammates have anything else to share, we will wrap this one up and give you all back 17 minutes of your day. Yeah? All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it. And this will be loaded up to our YouTube. Take care.
Thanks for
Cheers,
having us.
everyone.
Ciao.